Cincinnati's back in the orange and black. See the natty on the map, baby, tell me where you at. In the jungle, who they bringing it back to the jungle. As a game day, yeah, the jungle's back. Got the natty pack in the orange and black.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show. We're at Week 5, Bengals-Dolphins preview. I'm your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host, former Cincinnati Bengal linebacker, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Oh, Mike, great day to be a part of Bengal Nation, man. Was able to go down to Atlanta and witness, a great come-from-behind victory. But it was just, I think it's showing the character of this year's team. Fighting. We're down. We have a couple people that were out that weren't going to play, and those guards, those guys who were stars, the AJ Greens and the Andy Daltons, those guys showed up and they made plays. When you look at what Atlanta was facing, potentially facing, being 1-3, coming off of a loss, just a crushing loss to the Saints the week before. They had momentum. I think probably all the experts, had picked them pretty much. When I looked at every pregame show and just all the so-called experts were picking the Falcons. And I think this year's team, they're playing with some swag. They're playing with a chip on my shoulder, because I still don't think they're getting a lot of respect league-wide. I think everybody's just expecting those same old Bengals. But, Mike, I'm sensing something special. I know it's early, but, I'm sensing something really special with this year's team.
Yeah, let's face it, with the last decade or so under Marvin Lewis, I don't think they're going to get any respect till they win a playoff game. If they win a playoff game, they'll get the respect. But if they go 15-1 here, we're still going to hear from everybody, well, we know what's going to happen when we get in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, you have to. It's that playoff thing. You look at it. But, more than that to me, you're building something during the season. You're building something early. You have key guys out. You're getting Mixon back. You're getting 55 back. And you played your first three of your four first games, Mike, were on the road. You're 3-1. You're at home. This is the time you start building character. This is the time where your team starts gelling. These guys start coming together. These guys start trusting one another. And when we look at, it's just hasn't been up there. We haven't won a playoff game. When you look at throughout the years, Bengals going and not winning a playoff game, I don't think they had anything special. I don't think they had that bond. When you look at it, you think about, and I go back and think about the 88 team and the bond that was created from the previous year, from training camp, the early part of the season, to the first goal line stands to open up the season. I'm looking at here, first game, Indianapolis, they're driving, we make a big play, running back for a fumble and a touchdown.
Yeah, and Joe, what this game reminded me of? I mean, I thought the turning point in 88 was the win in Philadelphia against Randall Cunningham and a really good Eagles team, where Esiason hits, I think, Tim McGee at the end of the game to win the game on the road in a game nobody thought you guys would win. And this is a very similar situation with this win over Atlanta.
I agree. You look at it, you start looking at the similarities between the things that happened to our 88 team, and it was a momentum built, and I think that's what those guys are doing. I know for a fact 55 coming back is going to give that defense, a jolt in the arm. Getting Mixon back is going to give that offense a jolt in the arm. Even though, hey, it was a crushing to lose Eifert to a freak injury, because I think he was just playing himself into football shape. People had to understand he had been out of football literally for 3 years, and he was just playing himself back in. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have, that guy, this year. you get back a Mixon. Ross scores for a touchdown, and I know he had a lot of doubts going into this week, but unfortunately, I don't know how bad he got hurt, but he did come up hobbling on that touchdown. But Mike, it's something special. I'm sensing something really special with the 18 Bengals.
Yeah, and when I look at it, defensively, not a great performance. Offensively, the thing that stood out to me is this. A.J. Green was 4 for 78. I know he caught the touchdown pass, but the thing that really separated this game for the Bengals, or won this game for the Bengals, I think was Tyler Boyd. He didn't catch any touchdown passes, but 11 receptions, 100 yards, and on top of that, Gio Bernard comes in 15 for 69, almost 5 yards per carry. I mean, that's what happens. Other guys need to step up when other guys go down or don't play their greatest game.
Well, you're looking at it, and when you look at teams, when you look at championship caliber teams, you have that output from different guys. You don't look at championship caliber teams and they're relying on one guy, one running back, one wide receiver. It's a plethora of guys. You're looking at what Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is becoming that third down go-to guy. That for sure. He's going across the middle. He's doing corner routes, out routes, post routes. He's doing the dirty route. He's blocking. You look at the things that the tangibles that he's bringing to the game, and as a result of what he's doing, then you have 18. Then 18 becomes almost impossible, to cover when you have a guy like Tyler Boyd doing what he's doing. And it's not. I don't think it was just a breakout game for Tyler Boyd. He's been doing it, Mike, from game one. So I think Boyd is he's coming into his own. He was a great receiver in college, and I think he's getting this professional thing and understanding what it takes to be a professional, understanding the system, understanding the hard work that it takes to get him where he is right now. And I think that this guy is putting himself in a situation to become a really, really good NFL wide receiver, Mike.
Yeah, and when we look at the upcoming game against the Dolphins are coming off a 38-7 win. I don't think anybody really bought the 3-0 start. But when I look at the injury report today, there is cause for concern here. It looks like John Ross is going to be missing the game. Looks like Auden Tate will take his spot there. Gio Bernard was limited for sidelined for a second straight day, didn't practice due to a knee injury. And making matters worse is Joe Mixon was limited again. So it looks like he's no lock to play Sunday. If both Mixon and Bernard are out or limited Sunday, we're going to see a lot more Mark Walton, who is a kid that I really like. And then on top of that, we got Carl Lawson. Finally had a Carl Lawson number 58 sighting with a sack on Sunday. Yeah. But he was limited today with an ankle injury, which likely happened in practice this week since he previously wasn't on the report. So there's some issues, and of course Tyler Eifert's out.
Yeah, when I look at those things, we know for certain, Eifert's out, and more than likely, Ross is out because it looks like is it a hamstring issue or something? But
groin.
Yeah, the groin. So it's hard. You don't want to push those kind of injuries because if you push an injury like that, that's an injury that can affect you the entire season. When I looked at what Gio has and Mixon, coming off that knee surgery, those it's I don't know if those are type of injuries that playing will make it worse. Playing on a groin or hamstring can make it worse. In the NFL, Mike, playing 11 years, I can tell you, first game of the season, healthy majority of my 11 seasons. Games 2 through 16, I couldn't tell you if I ever played a game where something wasn't hurt. So
well, if you did, you weren't playing very good, Joe.
Right. So Mike, it's my coach. It's always said it's the difference between being injured and being hurt. When you're injured, hey, you can't. I was injured. The potential growing, that can be an injury. Being hurt, your knee is sore. It's a little icing, and you're not going to win the game. Pushing the Geo and the Mixon on a Thursday. That's not going to do anything for you Sunday. So you still have 3 full days, and 3 full days in this league can be a lifetime. Those guys can, if they're taking their treatment sessions seriously, and they're getting in that treatment room, and they're icing down, and they're doing contracts, and they're doing everything that the doctors are telling them to do. I think those guys can potentially be ready. But if not, this when you are looking at having a special team, you're making a special run, it's the next man up. And that's what our guys have been doing. When we went down there and lost to Carolina, AJ's out, and I think it was such a shock because that's not a guy that is normally, and throughout his career has really missed any games. But those guys, we still played them tough. We still, even losing, we were, and we stayed in a position, Mike, where we could play here and play there toward the end of the game. We could have got back in the game and possibly won. So when I look at the guys didn't quit, they didn't lay down, and they just let Carolina run, even though we had the worst, awful run defense ever, letting McCaffrey rush for 184 yards. But it's the next man up, and I think we have some guys, enough guys this year that it's not such a huge drop off when one of our star guys are out like it has been in the past.
Yeah, and when we look at this, I still have concerns with this offensive line. But Cameron Wake has not practiced the last couple days, so they don't know if he'll play or not. But my biggest concerns so far have been the play of the tackles and the play of Dre Kirkpatrick and basically just general linebackers altogether. But this will be the first game, I think, where Preston Brown and Vontaze Burfict are together on the defensive linebacker. What kind of impact do you think that'll make?
Mike, I think it's going to be night and day. I'm talking 12 noon and midnight. It's different. It's a total different contrast, man. And these guys in there, I think, Burfict, I think he's one of the top, inside linebackers in the league based on the plays that he makes and the impact that he has on a defense. But I think even the play, how he's played throughout his career and the level, I think there's still going to be sort of a challenge because Brown, you look at Brown. Brown has, he's led the league in tackles. He's led Buffalo in tackles for 4 or 5 years. So it's a guy, he's going to be playing with a guy that has gotten a lot of talk about these tackles and leading NFL in tackles and team in tackles. And I don't, he's a guy that he wants to be that big impact, make the biggest impact on the defensive side of the ball. But at the same time, Preston he's gonna want to play up to that level. And I think that Vontaze his play is going to elevate Brown's play even more. I think Brown is still kind of get acclimated to the scheme and playing with a different team. But I think the energy that Burfict brings game in, game out, year in, year out, it elevates him. And I don't think it's just going to elevate the linebackers. I think it's going to elevate the defensive line. They're going to they may do some things or take a chance because they know they got a guy that can back them up. And our first 4 games we haven't our linebacking play hasn't been good at all. And I think he's just going to elevate our defense another notch.
Yeah, and I think the way this is going in the secondary, Dre Kirkpatrick's going to find himself following the George Iloka route before long.
Well, when you're the highest paid corner on the team, and you're paid to make the plays. You are being paid like one of the top starters in the NFL. I love how he started the season, but I think I don't know if he gets comfortable. I don't know if first couple games
your defense playing good and you're doing things, and you do have some players, Mike, that tend to start reading their clippings and saying how great they are. I think it's even affected 22. Because everybody talked that he was going to be the best cornerback in the league, and he hasn't made enough plays. The amount of plays I was expecting him to make.
Well, they can't because everybody's throwing to Drake Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, well, that's true. But it's those guys. I think Dre's he's the elder statesman back there with those guys. I'm from my perspective, Mike, I'm expecting 55 to elevate. I'm expecting that guy to get in the huddle. If things are going bad, he's going to be that guy to say something. Mike, you look at the huddle and you'll see Carlos Dunlap every now and then trying to get the fans involved in the game and saying a couple things, but he's not perfect, man. I've been in that huddle, man, and I played on teams, and my defensive ends were getting their ass kicked, and I'm in there, come on, man, you're getting blocked by a tight end, dude. I'm trying, you're messing me up. So it's that being able to be in the huddle and tell guys and talk to guys and elevate. Come on, Dre, because I'm sure Nickerson, or Brown, or Nick Bissell hadn't turned around to one of the DBs or the corners and said, "Come on, man, tighten up, let's play." I don't think that's been in the huddle. And if you look at the teams that have gotten to the playoffs and had deep runs and to the Super Bowl, you have that guy. You have that guy that is making people accountable for their play, and helping, and as a result, helping elevate the team's play.
Yeah, and what's your take on the offensive line? Because I'm really worried about it, but I do think this. I think that Coach Laser, the offensive coordinator, has done a really good job of kind of working around it, if you know what I mean, especially with the screens to back guys off.
Yeah.
I think he's called a really good game. But when I look at it, the right side of this offensive line's bad. I mean, Bobby Hart's bad. Alex Redmond, I think that's his first name. I mean, Redmond, he's an aggressive pass blocker. But when I watch him, he consistently shoots out his outside arm as like a pseudo buffer to establish control on the set. But there's not a lot of power behind it. And his body lean and his inside arm don't aid him when he needs to reset it if that outside punch fails. It happens even on pass sets with him, and I think we have a serious problem on the right-hand side of this line.
Well, I'm looking at Redmond. We're specifically talking about Redmond. I look at Redmond. I think he's buying into Polak's the offensive line in his scheme, and the attacking scheme and what he's doing. I think that's why he's in there and not the kid from Arizona State. I think it's these are techniques that have to be honed, and I don't think right now in week 4 he's honed that. But Mike, I see that guy, I've seen him blow some guys off the ball. I've seen him being aggressive and like you said, and protecting and not collapsing that pocket. I've seen him get whooped. But Mike, I have a great memory, man. And the last 3 years, what we've gotten at the tackle play, Mike, we're still in Shangri-La, man.
I don't think so.
Our guys are so awesome.
I think this. Cordy Glenn is a huge upgrade. Bobby Hart is just a fatter version of Cedric Ugboehi. Come on, Joe. You know it's true.
When I look at Gordy, I'm saying Gordy.
Yeah, Gordy's good.
He's so massive. Massive. He's on there. I believe Hart. Hart is our weak link. But when I look at Hart, the difference between him and Ugboehi, I still see some piss and vinegar. Ugboehi would get his ass whooped and would not even. He's helping guys up that just whooped.
Yeah, but either way, Joe, they're both getting their asses kicked.
I do too. It's one thing, your kid goes out and he comes home with a black eye and the other kids in the street laughing and playing. Or opposed to your kid coming back, home with a black eye and the other kid has a busted nose. So you look at it. I got to look at the pluses, and it's not where we want to be. But when we look at things Andy has been able to do, Mike, in his first 4 weeks, he could not do those things the last 3 years. He couldn't. The pocket was getting collapsed.
Yeah, but I think that's from play calling, though. As quickly as the ball's out, and they turned into one of the best screen teams in football, which you know yourself, if you're a D lineman or a linebacker, you get burned on a screen a couple times, that's going to put you on your heels, and it's going to make it easier for that offensive line to block you.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely believe that the offensive coordinator's play calling has attributed to, our success. But it's a work in progress, Mike, and I'm not going to, give up yet on Hart, because at the end of the day, when I look at what we have other than Hart, whatever we have other than Hart is not good. So hopefully this kid can, get stout in there. Hopefully, he's studying film and he's understanding and he's looking at it. Because a lot of it, in this league, Mike, is leverage. You can give me a guy that's benching 550 pounds and at 220 pounds, I can tell you I can kick his ass all day.
Yeah,
because his leverage and his feet work are and it's these guys have to, they have to get their pads low, they have to bend their knees, and you have to, this is a leverage game, and hopefully that we can keep evolving and getting better and better, each week. And you never know. Here we keep going, and guess what? Now teams they're going to tell their defensive line now to, instead of trying to bull rush, take 1 or 2 steps and raise your hand, because they're trying to go and defend our quick passing. So now ultimately that's going to open up that 5-step drop. So it's something that they're looking at, and the teams the Bengals are having success. 3-step drops, hit here, hit there. And now, we're going to have them on our heels. Our screen game, is nice. So we have them. So as a result, it's going to help our line. It's going to help our where we're weak at that right tackle position.
In the end, even if the offensive line's not that great, the secondary hadn't been that great, the one thing I do know is this. This team seems to play with a lot more excitement and a lot more passion than any team we've seen in a couple decades, at least in Cincinnati. And that's why I think this team is different. I don't really think it has anything to do with talent or anything else. I think it is just the enthusiasm that they play with. And if you watch Andy Dalton, there was a couple spots where he was walking on the field while the defense was on the field, yelling at the referee, and, they have to have coaches hold him back. I mean, you haven't seen that fire from him that much until now. And all these Bengal fans that thought A.J. McCarron should be the starting quarterback, where did they go? Right. I haven't seen any post about that lately. A.J. McCarron could not get a starting job in freaking Buffalo, guys. He wasn't that good, and he's a backup for the rest of his life.
Yeah, yes, he is. The thing is, you get in a situation, and you and I, we've talked about it for years. And Andy's this. No, I'm looking at Andy. I have always said Andy was one of the top quarterbacks. Andy can play. AJ, you're listening. You start listening to guys. You start listening to people outside. Look at what's going on. Sit down. Learn from this guy. And then, eventually, hey, 3-4 years down the line, you look at Aaron Rodgers. How long did Aaron sit? 4 years? 5 years? You look at, man, be patient. Now you're in a situation where, you are a career backup, and, potentially you may only have 1 or 2 more years left when you could have been a potentially 13, 14, 15-year guy, and eventually taking over for the Cincinnati Bengals. But, it is what it is. Those guys, a lot of guys, either they're the Monday armchair, quarterbacks, and they know this and know that, man. And when you know the game and you see the game, this is a team. Football is a team sport. You can have the greatest quarterback in the world, but if you have, Hart, Fisher, and the way he's blocking for him, you're never going to hear about it. So looking at the scheme of things, looking at what our offensive coordinator is doing, looking at the techniques that our offensive line coach is teaching our offensive linemen now. You're looking at the play of our defensive line and what we're doing. It's potentially, Mike, it's potentially coming together, and I think it's potentially can come together in a special way.
Yeah, and when you look at the AFC, it's wide open. The AFC North, I think the Bengals are the best team. You look at the rest of the division, you know that New England's going to get it together just because they're New England. You look at a team like Kansas City. All these teams have one fatal flaw, and that flaw is defensively they're not that good. And when you look at it, I think people undersell Andy Dalton, and if this comes down to a track meet, even if it's in Kansas City or in New England, the Bengals are going to put points on the board, and they're going to have a chance.
I look at when you look at, like you said, you're talking about, you look at the Kansas Cities, you're looking at New England. Our defense is better than those guys.
It's Perfect's playing, yeah.
Our defense is better than those guys. So when I look at that, and you look at New England, you have Gronk, you have Tom. Two obviously. When you look at who's going to play better, Andy or Brady, or who you give the edge to, you're always going to give it to Brady. But when we look at what we have, when you look at AJ, you look at Tyler Boyd, you look at Joe Mixon, you look at Giovanni, you look at what we have. You look at Kansas City, Mahomes. Oh man, he's playing lights out. And number 10 is probably the most dynamic guy in the league right now. So you're looking at those, but I think
defensively they don't stop the run. And the thing is this: if they can't stop the run, and the Bengals, even if they go to Kansas City, you got Joe Mixon, you got Gio Bernard, you can control this clock, limit how many times he gets the ball, and see that's what Denver did Monday night. But Denver doesn't have near the offense that a Cincinnati or New England has. And if Cincinnati or New England or even a Baltimore get in a game like that, I mean, I'm not that convinced Kansas City's that good, because how many times have we seen over the last decade Andy Reid teams start off 6-0, 5-1, and then before you know it, they're finishing up 10-6, barely making the playoffs and getting knocked out.
Yeah. You look at that. Yeah, I do think in Kansas City they have something special with Mahomes.
Oh yeah, Mahomes is good.
I think that's something special. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see and how he evolves and because it's a long season. It's a long season. He's a young guy, first year starting, and is he going to hit that wall? When you first time, and because when you the games you played, the preseason games, and now you've already played almost 3/4 of a college season. You played 4 preseason and 4 regular season. That's 8 games. You only got 4 games left in college. So we're just beginning. So it's going to be interesting to see. But when I look at all the teams, and I'm comparing the top teams in the AFC. You're looking at New England. You're looking at Kansas City. You're looking at Baltimore. I think Pittsburgh is going to come back. I think Le'Veon Bell, he's going to come back. I think he's going to make a huge impact because at the end of the day, Pittsburgh defense is awful right now. But in the past, you look at with Ben and Brown and Le'Veon Bell controlling the clock and keeping the ball out of the hands of the other team, and they're going to need that.
But if he's not coming back till after week 7, it may be too late to make any difference.
It could be. It could be. You never know. They're going to fight. I'm never going to count Pittsburgh out. Even you look at Cleveland. I still. I looked at that play for Cleveland. I looked at it twice. I looked at it the next day, and it still looked like a first down to me. But the league did confirm to say it wasn't a first down.
But if Cleveland's going to be a team that can make a dent and make a playoff run, you can't give up 45 points to Oakland.
No, you can't. You can't. Mike, when we look at what the league, when we look at Goodell and what these guys are doing to the league, Mike, it's a track meet. You know, when you look at
that's
can't
what they
test
want,
anybody.
Joe. That's why
I know
you've
that's
got
what they
the
want.
penalties that way. I mean, it's like the home run in baseball in the late 90s.
Yeah. You know, it's come on, man. You're defensively, you can't do anything. You're prolonging the game. The games are getting longer. You know, you're making calls, and every call is 3 minutes. You know, some longer than that. You know, you're looking at, you can't touch the quarterback. You can't, you know, my offensive coordinator, I'm just going to throw the ball up. You know, and you have a 70% chance that they're going to call a defensive foul.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough, and I don't even know, and I don't even think the coaches, there's no way you can teach a guy to go after the quarterback and in second and mid-stride and midstream decide in midair that you're going to twist and contort your body not to fall on this guy. You know, You understand the concept of what you're thinking, but
you could do it, but you're just going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Well, you've seen that. We already seen that. One guy's out for the year, trying to contort. You're trying to contort a 325-pound body going full speed in midair, so I don't get a 10-yard penalty. You know, so it's I think it's a rule that definitely is going to have to be reevaluated because it's like you said, that's what they want. They want 45, 47. They want the 30, 36 to 37 games like we had last week. But it's becoming increasingly hard for the defenses to contest the offenses now.
All right, Joe. So what's your score for this week?
I'm looking at, when I look at Miami early this season, when I looked at our schedule, I said, man, we don't have a tough schedule. But now that everybody's looking, you look at Miami, they were 3-0. Look at what Kansas City doing. So I don't know, and I don't want to, because the NFL, I just don't want to say, okay, Miami is who I thought they were. But they started 3-0. New England. Now, because New England sucks. But then now look at New England. Is New England back to being New England?
Yeah, but that's New England. They do that every year to give people false hope.
Yeah, so, I know at the end of the day we're going to go, it's going to be a team, everybody, and every expert, Tannehill is, he's not the guy, he's not this, he's not that. They don't have any skilled players, and, they go out and start the season 3-0. So I'm hoping that we're not going and thinking that we're going to get the 38-7 Dolphins of last week. I'm hoping these guys go and say, well, we're getting the 3-0 Dolphins. And I think if we go into the game with that in mind, with that perspective, I think we can do well. If we go in with a nonchalant attitude, I can see this game being where the Bengals are laying a bomb. It's one of those games, it makes me a little more nervous than it did the Baltimore game, because I thought and felt that we would be up for Baltimore. But this is a team that, started with the bang, and with that loss, I think we can potentially, Mike, be lulled into a false sense of entitlement because we're 3-1. And we just beat Atlanta in Atlanta, and they got destroyed last week. So I think it's gonna be a close game, because I think those guys are gonna fight, and I think hopefully we don't start slow and stay on hitting on all cylinders. But I'm looking forward to be a close game, because this is in football. It's a game of emotions and ebbs and flows, and I think we are going to go into this game, getting Mixon back, getting Burfict back with a false sense of confidence, and I don't think we are going to take Miami as I think we're going to take them lightly, and as a result, I think it's going to be a close game. And but I'm still going to give the heads to the Bengals, Mike. But I'm going to say it's going to be a 28-24 type game.
All right, so let's do a 1988 comparison. To me, this is like, I think, week 5 at that time. You guys played the New York Jets, and the Jets came up. It went up by like 9 or 10 points in the first quarter on you guys. You remember that one? And then you guys came back and blew them out in the second half. I think we're gonna go.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with the same score too. I'm gonna go 36-19 Bengals. I think this. I worry about that too, but I think if Mixon can play, and I think if Burfict's going to play, I think those are two guys that you've talked about guys like Stanley Wilson in the past that were emotional leaders on teams. These guys strike me as those kind of guys, and I think that with them coming back, that gives them a lot of energy. And if you get through this game, next week you got Pittsburgh. You beat Pittsburgh, and then there is something special here, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at potentially, Mike, where we could be. We're going into week 5, and we take care. We're supposed to beat Miami. We go into 4-1. And I don't know what's going to happen next week. This week coming up with Pittsburgh, but we go out and we face Pittsburgh at 4-1 and beat them, and we're 5-1. And Pittsburgh, it'll be at least their 3rd loss, if not their 4th. So you're going and we're potentially 5-1, and
you're pretty much killing Pittsburgh off if you win the next 2 games.
Yeah. But like I said, you can win this week, and Pittsburgh wins this week, and then Pittsburgh beats you next week, and we're right back where we thought we were.
Nobody wants to hear that, so knock it off.
No, I'm just, I'm just saying Pittsburgh is always going to go. I throw the records away.
I know.
We're playing, you get there, and I don't care if Pittsburgh does lose, we win, and they come in with 3 losses. It's going to be a Pittsburgh bingo game. And I no matter what the record is, if they win next week, they lose next week. I still think that our guys have something to prove to those guys, and it's something I don't want to look past Miami, but I am getting that Steeler week itch, Mike. Still getting,
me too,
getting that Steeler week itch.
All right, guys. So next week you can hear us come back and talk about this Bengal victory over the Dolphins, and we will be Steeler week, and Joe will be all itchy. So make sure tune in, because when Joe's itchy, that means the show's going at least an hour. But guys, I want to remind you can hear all the Grueling Truth shows on thegruelingtruth.net. Also, we're available on Spotify now, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.